believe in yesterday. Suddenly, I'm not half the man I used to be. Hello, Facebook. We got Michael back just in time.
Yes, we are.
It's nice to have everyone join us today. Our topic, as you can tell, it's an old Beatles song called Yesterday. And that's exactly what our topic is about today. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of fade this out while we talk. Okay, turn it off. Um, for those of you who have been around a little while, around the sun a few more decades than the millennials, I guess. I'm not trying to separate anybody, but some of you guys may not remember the Beatles, and some of you do. And that was actually a Beatles song. And the reason I'm coming to you with this song today is because Michael said that our topic should be yesterday with a question mark. And I'm like, what does that mean? So, in case those of you don't know me, I'm Tia now. And you are popping around on my Facebook page, and I'm really, really thrilled to have you here. And we do this every Sunday at 2 o'clock. This is my friend, wait a minute. Dr. Michael Gross. I have an issue with which way I'm supposed to be pointing. And I got it right today, so I'm thrilled because that doesn't always happen. You know, it's kind of like this. But anyway, what I wanted to do was give you a little nugget on Michael Gross, okay? He is, and I will give you a formal introduction. Michael, say hello to everybody, please.
Hello, everyone.
I know that if you follow me on Facebook, you see me often mentioning Michael. And that's because he changed everything in my life. I had no idea what was missing. I just knew something was missing. And the first time I heard from him, the first time I met him was actually a little over a year ago when I bought his book, The Spiritual Primer. Okay. And the reason I bring this up is because in order for me to buy this book, I made sure we had to meet. So we met at a restaurant halfway between where he lives and where I live. And I had a chance to really, really meet the man who wrote this amazing book. And because of that, so many awesome things have happened in this last year. And it's been a different kind of a year for many of us. But this is a year that I actually started getting to know who I was. And that in itself is a true gift. So yesterday, for me, is the way I used to be. And we're going to hear Michael's message. And I just want to give him a little thank you for this because of what he's done in helping me understand who I am. I have a book too. See, I didn't think you probably didn't think I was going to do that, did you? I never know whether I'm going to remember this one or not. But now enough with the frivolities and the music. I'm going to give you guys a proper introduction to Dr. Michael Gross. Dr. Michael Gross is an author, professional keynote speaker, transformational coach, and an entrepreneur. For more than 3 decades, he has been on a spiritual path as an intuitive, healer, spiritual counselor, and a teacher. Through the guidance of spirit, Michael has assisted others in their personal quest for self-empowerment, helping them to create the lives that they have long sought and to bring forth their intuitive abilities. Michael currently teaches classes in spirituality, self-empowerment, can't talk today, self-empowerment, Reiki, and other modalities. In concert with God, the true source, he has also achieved great success and miraculous healings. He remains humble, knowing the work that he does all comes from God, the true source. Michael lives in Lakewood, Washington, and I am thrilled to be part of his newly launched nonprofit called the International Institute of Self-Empowerment. I am thrilled to have him as our guest speaker. We do this every Sunday, and he has such wisdom. I'm going to go ahead and stop talking, honor your time. Thank you for joining us, and welcome, Dr. Michael Gross.
Oh, there it is. I always get confused like you do. Thank you. But first of all, I want to give kudos to you for allowing me the honor of having to work with you and allowing me also to have the opportunity for you to find yourself. And you know, so many people that I work with, they're in denial or they block it, but you were totally open, an open book to allow yourself to come to this point. So I honor you for allowing me to be this, and I honor your soul. I thought today I wanted to talk about yesterday with a question mark. And as I was looking about, you know, what's going on at the planet right now, as I often do, and have a conversation with the true source, what should I talk about? And I heard the word talk about yesterday. And I want to preface this by saying, you know, we're always comparing the past with the present. I'm sure you've heard me say this before. And that's our response. Because if something went awry in the past, we might not do it in the present, or not even in the future. But too many of us are living in the past. And what does that mean? Well, let's look at it different ways. A lot of our fears and doubts come from the past. Therefore, we're afraid to try them in the present, let alone in the future. But every experience in the past has got you to this point. Or as I would say, every experience of yesterday got you to this point. And you learned many things yesterdays, which I'm referring to as the past. But it's also very, very frightening. And you remain frozen in some of your areas in your thinking of yesterday. And how can yesterday apply to today? Well, there are certain things that you learned yesterday that you don't want to apply at this time. Or do you? What if something you tried and it didn't work? Does that mean it applies right now? Because yesterday it didn't work, but maybe it works today. And of course, I remember, some of you may not remember, but I remember Dick Tracy, you know, and that's going back a number of years. And he had a watch he talked into. He talked into the watch and he was talking to headquarters. And look what we have today. We have watches we can answer the phones with if you have an iPhone. So although that seemed ridiculous in the past and fantasy yesterday, right now it's reality. Therefore, many things that you have remained frozen, and that's the key word, frozen from yesterday, may or not apply today. For example, you know, when your mother said, don't touch a hot pot, you said, what's hot? You burn your finger. Okay, I learned that one. Do I do it frequently? No. Do I do it sometimes? Yep, because I forget. Or don't touch the paint that's wet. You know, I'm one of those guys. I got to check it out to see if it's wet. So I'm living in the yesterday and I got paint on my finger. But there are so many things that we are reviewing in our life simultaneously, we're not even aware of it. And that's what we're living in the yesterday. Many of us reflect upon the yesterday, and I meet people, well, I used to have a great car, I used to have jewelry, I used to have this, but used to. And my answer is, what does that do now? What does that do now? What does that do now? What does it do now? And all it does is locks you in the yesterdays of your dreams that may or may not have come to fruition. One of the things I'd like to talk to you about is everything that happened yesterday made you the person you are today. And that's very, very powerful. Well, all the frailties, all the fears, all the doubts of the yesterdays got you to this point. And part of the yesterdays is when you're looking at the present is the doubt, because yesterday is the past, part of it's doubt, which is the past, and part of that is the future. And look how much you have changed with technology. My goodness. I used to think way, way back. Look at my great-grandparents and grandparents. Gosh, they saw horses and cars and airplanes and jet planes and rocket ships. My goodness, what else is there left? They even saw TV. Well, now we have the cell phones. We have, you know, on this cell phone, this has more computing ability than Sperry ran Univac or IBM, the original key punch. more capacity. And if you live in the yesterday and the past, then you are hamstringing yourself. You're chaining rather yourself to a pole and not allowing yourself to move forward because you're living in the fear of the present. If you live in the fear of the present, means you are frozen and you can't move forward. Sooner or later, something comes into your life and says, get off your chain, get off your tush, and you got to move forward. Oh, you haven't gotten it right? No problem. We're going to bring it up again and again and again and again and again and again. But this time, it becomes much more challenging. You all have choices in life like I do. And I will say that I am challenged with computer technology. And yet we look at young kids today. My 8-9-year-old grandchild can do more on computers than I can. They learn very, very quickly. Can I learn as well? Yeah, I can. Can any of you? Yes. Do you choose to do that? Where do you choose to put your energy? And if you're living in yesterday, your energy is all confused, going all different directions, whether you're going forward or backward. And then something happens. I knew it was going to happen. I could tell it was going to happen. And it happened last year and 20 years ago and 30 years ago. Nothing's ever changed. And what you are doing is, in that yesterday thought that you're living in, you're bringing it to the present. And as a true source said, the past predicts the present predicts the future. Isn't it time for you to forget about, set aside the yesterdays and live in the moment, as they say, or the present, so that the future becomes what you so desire? And every thought you have will eventually manifest in your life, because that's the law. It's immutable. What you think you create, what you create, you experience. But living in the yesterday, the greatness or whatever it happened to be, or the pain, or the fear, or the doubt, always will be like a dark cloud over your head, waiting for it to reappear in your life to say, have you got the answer yet? Are you aware of this? Are you really willing to let it go? Now, all of you have chose experiences yesterday. Some were very painful. I know mine were. But I realize it's got me to this point in my life. That's no excuse if I've screwed up or created pain in my life or in others. No excuse. But it's something I chose to learn. On the other hand, something they chose to learn. And it's so sensitive. For example, if you see a person, I don't care if it's a man or a woman, and you say, XYZ, you look good, you dropped 20 pounds. What do you mean, I'm fat? You think I was fat before? What do you mean I dropped 20 pounds? Have you ever experienced that or something similar? It's not that you did anything wrong. They're living in the past of fear of being fat. Or you say something else and they leap out at you and attack you because it's their fear. Because they're living in the yesterday. Now, we all have choices today. And there's so many things that are going on that is almost insurmountable in some people's minds. And in some people, they're living in the yesterday of the fear. And you know my story that if you tell a lie long enough, people will believe it. And of course, we went through the pandemic. And people are living in fear of the pandemic. Yet there are people that I know that are, not that I know personally, that I read 100, 105, survived the pandemic. And even I was talking to my surrogate brother, and he's 78. And he caught the coronavirus, and his wife did. And he said, how do you feel? He said, well, I'm breathing fine, but aches and pains, and I dropped 20 pounds. Okay, call him a few days later. How you doing? Better. Are you able to eat? Gain 10 pounds. I said, how's your appetite? Gain 10 pounds. How's your breathing? Gain 10 pounds. And that's his humor. But he bounced right back because he didn't let it own him and control him. Keywords, own and control. Because if you're living in yesterday and you're living in those fears and doubts, it's owning and controlling you. So there's the fight, flight syndrome, or frozen. And in my opinion, something like 80% of our population is in the frozen, not knowing which way to turn or go. But you can only remain in that direction so long. Then you have to make a decision. And I was working with one of my very dear friends back in Boston, and we were talking about decisions. And he said to me, you know, Michael, no decision is still a decision. I went, wow, I never looked at it that way. You're right, Dick. You're absolutely correct. So we're always making decisions based upon our past yesterday experiences. Some of them are very intelligent. Some of them are lacking. And what is your yesterday? What are you living in? What is lacking in your decision? You know, each morning you wake up, I want you to look at, you're an artist and you got a blank canvas. What are you going to design your day to be? You going to worry about yesterday? Maybe. And then what happens? You become angry, upset, and frozen. And have you noticed, so many people now are accusatory. So many people are opinionated. And so many people know everything. You know, I have a friend, and he was getting divorced from his wife. And finally, even the relatives, oh, his wife, she knows everything. If I was said it's going to rain 2 days, yeah, I know that. The sun's going to shine at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I know that. Anything she knew everything. What a know-it-all. And I felt sorry for her because she was living in fear. Because she had to say she was better than everyone else. We're all equal. We're all energy. We're all our thoughts. Because you see, our thoughts form our yesterdays, todays, and tomorrow. There's an old cliche, and it said there are only 2 things you can depend upon, death and taxes. Well, maybe that's true for now. Who knows? I know we'll birth out of our body someday, and that's a great, glorious celebration, although most people don't look at it that. It's like I've come here, I've accomplished my mission and goals, and I call about going on vacation to feel all that love. But yet, that's not even taught. It's not taught about when your mission and goal is over. There's a huge celebration. And you're surrounded in heaven by all this unconditional love. And if you want to know how I know that, I know I haven't had a near-death experience. I've talked to a lot of people who have, and all of them say, I can't wait to die, Michael. It's so loving and caring. But I have been honored to go into another vibration dimension. I call it level, you call it spiritual dimension, and have felt the true source's unconditional love. I can't describe it. Well, I will tell you, I want to hug and kiss every animal, even the rocks, the grass, even every human being. That could have got me in trouble if I did it with human beings. I'll tell you right now. But that's just the way I felt. It's hard to explain, but that's what lies ahead. Therefore, you're now at a choice in your life. You're at a precipice. Are you going to live in the yesterday? Are you going to be frozen by the yesterday? Or are you going to wake up each morning and say, this is a new beginning in my life? Each day, each moment is a new thought, a new beginning. Yes, we have challenges. Yes, we have all these problems. I remember a very dear friend of mine who's an attorney, and he would get a little upset, and he'd work on stuff, and he had a minor heart attack. And he said, I'm going to not let things bother me anymore. If it goes right, it goes right. It goes wrong, it's going wrong, because my health is more important. And what's more important than you in your life? Did you ever think of yourself that if you live in the yesterday, you're no longer a leader, but you're frozen in the past? But if you live in the moment, you're a game changer, you're a leader. Not by lecturing to someone, but how do we learn? By observation, by feeling and emotions. And as you begin to realize, my cliche, you are unlimited, think about that. That means you can do anything in your life. But yet, the human beings are stuck in the yesterdays. And they're making all these quotes from famous people. And you can do this and you can do that, and all these motivational speakers. And they're darn good. And there's a few of them that I really think are exceptional. And yet I talk to people, I'm going to see XYZ over and over again. I watch their lives. Don't change at all. They're still stuck in the yesterday. The only motivation you have is to find joy and happiness in your life. Now, Once you seek joy and happiness in your life, everything that brings you joy and happiness will begin to appear in your life. But in the yesterdays, we're still living in those doubts and fears because you have learned, you have been brainwashed by a belief system that is erroneous for the most part. They talk about quantum physics. And quantum physics basically says, whatever you expect the outcome to be, it will be. You ever think about that? So right now we have 60 seconds equal a minute, 60 minutes equal an hour. But it's not really true because the scientists will tell you that time is sped up by milliseconds or maybe a little greater than that. So really 60 seconds don't equal a minute anymore. Maybe it equals, 59.3 seconds, whatever it is. But everything isn't changing. And now you need to break the mold of the yesterday to be in the mold of the present. And that's so powerful. And you are being asked by your soul, whether you realize it or not, do you want to remain stuck in the yesterdays? Because everything that's coming up in your life is challenging you to change, whether it's the food you eat, whether it's relationships, whether it's family and friends. And, are you a slave of your fears or the master of your life? That's one of the quotes the True Source gave me. And I looked at that and I said, in some ways I am a slave of my fears. In other ways, I am the master of my life. And just because you have a challenge in doing something doesn't mean you're a failure, because that's your thinking of yesterday. It just means that you either have to conquer it or you move on and delegate it to someone else to do it, and you follow your passion. And this period that we're in right now is about you. That's what the True Source told me. And I said, well, what does that mean? You is a euphemism for it's your life to recreate your life. So in a sense, it's like being reborn, recreated. It's not just you're physically reborn and recreated. It's that your mindset and your thinking is begin anew. And you know what the side effect is? Your body begins to heal. You have more energy. You have more joy in your life. The graveyard is full of unfulfilled dreams. And do you want to be that way? Do you want to sit there when the time comes for you to birth out of your body and said, I live in the yesterday and I didn't achieve all my dreams? And then I talk about people that are martyrs. And the True Source pointed out to me, you know what happened to all the martyrs? They were killed. Joan of Arc, rather. Think about that. Martyrs are beautiful, wonderful people, but they're still living in the yesterday. It's time for you to live in the present. It's time for you to take a foot forward and speak your peace and truth. Not what the press says, not what anyone else says, but what you feel in your heart. It should go like this, what's in your heart? Because that's so important. Each morning you're listening to your fears and your doubts and your yesterdays, but are you listening to your heart and your soul? Because it'll never steer you in a bad place or wrong. And I often think, why are we living in the yesterday? Because it's comfortable. Even if it's fearful, it's comfortable. Because what if I make a mistake? Oh, what if it doesn't work out? Oh, what's going to happen to me? And in the manifestation protocols and the webinar that I'm teaching, I said to everyone, failure means success. And they all looked at me. How can you say that? They didn't say that part, but they looked at me and I could read their thoughts. And the answer is, there's no such thing as failure. You're just learning what is working and correct for you and what isn't. That's simple. Some people are great carpenters. I'm not. Some people are great race drivers. I'm not. It doesn't mean I'm a failure. Some people are great, painters. That's not my bag. Does that mean I'm a failure? No, but I am an expert at stick figures. Nobody can outdo me in stick figures. I just want you to know that. But seriously, if we look at that, don't look at anything as a failure. When we went to school, we had all these different subjects to see what appealed to us. And then when you went to college, some people took liberal arts, and the idea was, I want to find my passion. What do I like by taking these different courses? And then you find something you like. But what I've noticed, even with myself, except for a few people, there comes a point, whatever the chosen field is, whatever their passion is, they say, I want to do something different. Not that they failed as a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer, or whatever they were, a nurse. But it's like, been there, done that. I want to experience new things in my life. Because you see, when it comes time for you to birth out of your life and you're living in the yesterday, you're frozen or living in fear or living in the past. And guess what? Law of karma says, well, next lifetime, you got to learn these lessons. Hey, hurrah for you, you're growing. And addressing karma for a moment is just an experience. By the way, guess who asked for karma? We did, to learn what we're supposed to learn. So here you are at this moment, either live at this podcast or you'll be reviewing it. And my wish and thought for each one of you is that you understand that you're living in the yesterdays. And it's time to unchain yourself, time to move forward, time to be empowered. If you had financial failures or relationship failures or anything else that didn't work, it's not a failure. You learn something very powerful. Now, are you going to change? Or are you going to use a fight, flight, or fear? What is your decision? You notice it? Fight, flight, or fear, the 3 Fs. Pretty interesting. So my message to each one of you, as we're concluding, you see me looking over to one side, I'm watching the clock, is that make a determination to understand whatever occurred in the yesterday, if it was positive, challenging, or whatever it was an enlightening move to get you to this point. Now it's time to move forward. The old ways are changing. Where we went to big concerts, now we have Zoom. The old ways of communicating are different. Now we're on Zoom again or whatever you're using. And we'll go back one day. We'll be in person and talking to one another. But right now, it's your choice. So choose wisely. Don't take on 20 or 30 different items. Do 1 or 2, but do them well. And when you accomplish that, I'll move to the next foot. So everyone, live in the now, not in the yesterday, because you are unlimited. Thank you so much. I appreciate all you, and I appreciate every one of you. And please share this podcast with others so that others can join us. And I look forward to the day when TU Books comes out. And as I said before, I get to interview her. Boy, am I going to have some fun. All right. TU, I turn it over to you.
Oh, wow. Thank you. What a powerful message. You're absolutely right on again. And, I always learn something new just listening to you. And we speak a lot.
Yes.
And every day, it's like a little light goes on inside. And I know, okay, I'm in the right place. And on that note, would you like to take a minute? We have a couple minutes left, okay? Would you
Sure.
like to take a minute and just mention that a little bit about what you do Tuesday night and the second Saturday coming up?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Oh,
You want me? You want me to? All right. All right. Every Tuesday evening, 6:30 to approximately 7:30. Sometimes we go over Pacific Standard Time. And I open up a forum where you can ask any questions on spirituality. And then I deliver a 10-minute message, which is recorded, which we're now getting onto YouTube very shortly. And there are over 200 messages. They're all very empowering. But it's also about rediscovering who you are to clear up your thoughts. And it's about empowering you. So I encourage all of you to call in. And that telephone number is 515-604-9097. That's 515-604-9097. And there's an access code, and that is 125446 125-446 Now, the second Saturday of every month, which I believe will be the 8th, if I'm correct, May 8th. And on that Saturday from 9:55 Pacific time, that's 9:55 a.m. to approximately 11:01, we do a silent meditation to heal the mass consciousness. And that's so important on this planet. And, my personal mission and goal is to get 1% of the population. That's what we get, and we get the true source, and all of you get 1% to realize they are the solution. They can make a difference and are making a difference, and reconnect with the true source, or God, the true source, if you will. Then the whole planet will change to become more loving and to turn this back into the Garden of Eden. Sounds incredulous, but in my mind, in my thought, it isn't. It is already accomplished. That's how strong my belief system is. And the more people we get to join us, the more powerful it'll be, and it'll be done in silence. However, you're going to feel the true source of unconditional love through your body. Many marvelous things have happened that people have shared with me. Visions, thoughts, energies, tingling, all kinds of stuff. So please, spread the word and join us Tuesday evening and the second Saturday every month. Thank you to you. Thank you for reminding me.
Thank you, Michael. I'll make sure that all the numbers and the dates and events and stuff are listed in the comments so everybody has it. And on that note, I want to thank everybody for taking a little time in your Sunday to come and join us. If you're out there and you're hearing it as a replay later, #replay, because that way we get to keep this video going live up on Facebook and YouTube. So on that note, thank you so much again, Michael, for your sharing your time and your wisdom with us. And I am truly, truly honored to be part of your life. I'm blessed to have you as part of mine. And on that note, thank you, everyone.
Hold it just one moment. Sorry to interrupt you. Next week is Mother's Day, next Sunday. I want to wish all the mothers a wonderful, happy Mother's Day. The mother is the person that has the most direct influence on the future of children. And they are the leaders of children. And I'll probably be addressing it next week. But if you can't make it because you're celebrating Mother's Day, which is a wonderful way for you to be honored, then listen to the replay. And I believe you'll find it interesting. Anyway, a happy Mother's Day to all of you. All right, back to you.
Exactly. We will be here on Mother's Day. And if you can't make it, that's okay. We totally understand. Family first. But definitely catch the replay because I know that we are going to have an awesome Mother's Day message for everyone. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and end this Facebook Live. And I want to take a minute just to thank everybody for taking the time to join us today. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Take care, everyone.